Hey, Michael Wall here. Welcome to the Invest Well Show. This is a very direct, a little bit different show, just kind of direct to you. I want to share a thought and a few thoughts really in our season today, in our life today. You know, here as I'm shooting this, it's the beginning of April. It just happened, the indictments for Trump and some of these other things. There's a lot of worry and concern about what's happening economically out there. We know China and Russia and Iran and some of these other countries are kind of joining up. We know OPEC is in a place where they are slowing down production. It's almost become a game. In fact, it's been a game for a long time, but now I think people are starting to realize the brevity of this game in a lot of ways, and that's going to cause, obviously, energy prices to soar, probably, to go up is my assessment on this process. And the question for a lot of people right now is, what should we be doing? There is a massive effort to repress truth in our country. There's a massive effort to repress information, quite honestly. Whether you believe things are truth or not, the idea in the freedom of speech is that fact that everyone has the ability, everyone on both sides of the aisle, to share what they want to say. And this is so important because when we look at economics today and we look at the way things are moving today, I think this brings even greater to light the importance of looking at how you are investing. And so I want to talk for a minute today about your investments in general, whether you're working and you're growing a 401k, whether you're sitting there and you have massive wealth, whether you're in a place where you are getting ready to sell a company. I don't know where you are, but in life, there's different stages. I got to tell you, the sponsors of this show, separate companies, sponsors of this show, Wall Private Wealth and U.S. Private Wealth. U.S. Private Wealth is a registered investment advisory firm, done a great job with a trademark process. Wall Private Wealth, obviously just so happens to be the last name is mine. It's a multifamily office company helping wealthy families protect, grow, and reduce taxes on their wealth. And one of the lenses that I have seen over the years, not only in commentating for national media, but helping families, coaching advisors, is the idea that we must be proactive with our investments. And I think now, more than ever, listen to me on this, now more than ever is a time where we cannot just put our head in the sand like we have in the past and say, things are just going to work out. If I just turn the noise off, it'll go away. That's not the case. In fact, the nonsense is building in our country. And when you look at your investments, I want to challenge you. You must get proactive. And I think you really got to think in this country about what you're voting for with your dollars. Because a lot of you out there are investing with firms, large firms, that you may have and built a great relationship with the advisor that you have. And he or she may be a wonderful person, but they may work for a large national or international brand. And if that's the case, here's what I want you to know. That advisor that you're working with does not keep 100% of the fees that you're being charged annually. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have a $10 million portfolio. And let's say you're in a place where they're charging you 1% a year to manage your money. Maybe it's more, maybe it's less, but let's just say it's 1% for easy math. Well, you and I can do math and realize that that's $100,000 a year. Now, hopefully you're getting a lot of value from that. That's not what I'm talking about here right now. I will talk about that in a minute. But that $100,000 in fees every year on that $10 million portfolio, all of that money does not go to your advisor. Some of it does. Depending on where your advisor is and the company they work with, maybe 30%, 40%, 50% goes to the advisor. The rest goes to that large national or international brand. So in that scenario, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 goes every single year of your fees to these large companies. If you're with a large brand, and I'm not going to mention the names, you know what they are. Now, here's my question. What are they passionate about supporting? Are they supporting organizations that you are diametrically opposed to? And you may say, well, I like my advisor. We've built a great relationship, so I'm not going to worry about that. Well, you need to worry about it because your fees, if you are with a large organization, are going to support causes that you might be completely opposed to. And now that you know, your head is now out of the sand, it's on you to determine whether or not you will maintain your investments where they are because you've built a great relationship with your advisor and continue to support indirectly organizations that you are diametrically opposed to. Or You will say no longer, hey, John, Sally, Jim, whoever your advisor's name is, I really like you. We've built a great relationship, but you work for a company that supports X, Y, and Z, and I am not at all okay with supporting those organizations. And so because of that, I am making a decision. I am putting a line in the sand and saying, I will no longer on my watch support organizations that are against traditional family. I will no longer on my watch support organizations that are about telling children that they can change their sex. I am no longer on my watch okay with supporting indirectly, because this is where your fees are going, to an organization that are going to write checks to organizations that are anti-America. And I like you, John, and I like you, Jimmy, or I like you, Sally, whatever your advisor's name is, but I am no longer willing to support that. So unless you're willing to move and shift and change to another company that doesn't support those things, I'm going to have to move my assets. Now, most of the time, the advisor is not going to make the change, unfortunately. But you now, as the owner of the wealth, as the CEO of what you have, your investments, you are responsible for the decisions that you make. And I get that a big part of investing is maximizing what you're doing. Listen, if you could be in a place where you could do better financially, make more financially, reduce your taxes, maybe create more comprehensive planning, that's a positive thing. But it's now not only just that. Probably not good English there. But at the end of the day, it's more than that. We must pay attention as people. Now listen, at this stage in the game, you're either tuning me in or tuning me out, and that's okay. But I'm talking to those of you that are aware of what is happening in our country. And you have been indirectly supporting investment through these large organizations, the investment of organizations and nonprofits that are against what you're for, what you're trying to teach your children and grandchildren. And I want to challenge you to rethink where you are investing. It's so important. Now, obviously, the key right now economically is we also need to take a look at what is happening with our investments today. Do I believe that there's going to be challenges with the stock market? Yes. Did you know that there's almost 50% less, almost 50%, it's actually in the 40s, but I'm going to round up, almost 50% less publicly traded companies on the stock market today than there were in 1996. What does that mean simply? What that means is if your only investments are in the market, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, etc., you are missing out on a tremendous amount of opportunity off market. And I'm not talking about buying publicly traded REITs or variable annuities. I'm talking about really independently looking at your investment portfolio and thinking differently. Now is the time that you must do that. If we have significant market disruption in the future, that is not the time to say, you know what, I'm just going to wait it out. I hope everything's going to just work out. The reason we've gotten ourselves in challenges in this country is because there's too many people that are just sitting on the sidelines saying, I hope things will just work out. So my encouragement to you as I end this show is for you to think about the two ways that you're investing your money. One is indirectly through organizations from the fees that you're being charged that are going to organizations that you're diametrically opposed to. Now you know. It's on you as to whether or not you're going to find a firm that aligns with your values. Obviously, you want that firm. Just because they're aligning with your values doesn't mean they're the right firm to handle your investments. That's also important. You don't want to work with a company that's just selling you product. You want to actually build a plan. The second thing is you need to dive deep and look at your investments and say, what can I do to reposition to be a part of things like private equity that's done well, to be a part of things like real estate that's done well, to be a part of demographic shift as people move to different areas, take advantage of those real estate opportunities. What can I do to think differently? Listen, I want to challenge you again to reach out to sponsors of these shows. Wall Private Wealth, U.S. Private Wealth, both separate companies, great teams, have done a great job for over 20 years in helping families protect, grow, and reduce taxes on their wealth. In 2022, many of the families there made money, some nice money, saved a lot of money in taxes in 2022. You got questions on what to do there? Head over to Lean on the Wall, LeanOnthewall, leanonthewall.com to learn more about them. Schedule a time, see if you qualify financially. They do have minimums, financial minimums. But more than anything, I want to wake you up. That's my goal. Please. And tell your friends about this. This is the way that we change the course of society, by people that think straight, that people that understand what it took for our forefathers to build this country, and that understand the time and the place that we are in right now, and saying we are, quite honestly, in an element of a war, and we need to be thinking that way. We need to be proactive, not waiting anymore, but proactive in this process. And in this place, we're talking about our investments, getting proactive with our investments to be intentional on the journey. I hope this leaves you well. I hope it leaves you encouraged. Again, if you got questions about your wealth, head over to leanonthewall.com. Be blessed. Share this show. And as always, my desire is to help you live on purpose so you can live with purpose. Be blessed. Talk to you next time.